Yeah, they asked the question, will the digital ID be mandatory? What if I don't want a digital? Well, you're pretty much going to be off grid, because is digital ID a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Very much in the news. All right. Let's go back and play some more of this.
Interpret it however they want.
Exactly, that's it.
See, this is why, like Paul Warburg, right? When he was, when he took out certain amenities out of the Federal Reserve bill, the other dickhead Nelson Aldridge was mad. No, we don't want to take those. I said, look, we just want to get the bill passed.
Yeah. Now, Elder Apostle Ramlab is referencing something that was brought out by G. Edward Griffin. I forgot the name of the video. How they created the Federal Reserve. Was thrust upon the people, which is essentially a central bank. At first, the people were opposed to it. They were sickened by it. The very idea of the government controlling all our money. But using gradualism, the wicked elite was able to thrust it upon the people. People actually, through the different bank panics, that they were creating them behind the scenes, the top wicked elite, they were creating those panics of the bank, runs on the bank behind the scenes. Eventually, the people begged for a central bank. And hence, December 22nd, 1913, it was passed. So the same technique that they're using back then is the same technique they're going to use to bring about this digital ID ultimately. He calls it for all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark. And that mark is the chip. So that's how he's going to cause the people to receive it. By creating chaos. The old adage, man, auto ab chaos. So you create enough chaos, that'll scare the people into accepting your order. What is your order? Have them digitally monitored through a RFID chip, where they're totally monitored. They're total slaves. And that's exactly what it's all about.
Once the bill's passed, then, we can make the amendment. Cool, I got water. Then we can add the necessary provisions in there.
And then the bill was passed. The bill for the Federal Reserve, when you go into the history of what Elder Apostle Ramlab's talking about, the bill was eventually passed December 22nd, 1913. And to quote the words of G. Edward Griffin, the nation's money fell into private hands. Now, that gave the top banking families even more control over the people. Now they control their money. It was an Apostle Ramlab quotes that in that video. It was a quote from Mayim Shelbao. He said, it might have been Mayim Shelbao or Nathan Rothschild, one or the other. He said, permit me power over a nation's credit or a nation's money, and I don't give a shit who makes the laws. Basically, that's what he said. You give me control of a nation's money, I don't care who makes the laws. Because the point is, whoever controls the money controls the laws. What laws can be passed, all right, et cetera, et cetera. There's the golden rule for the wicked elite. He who has the gold rules. That's the golden rule. So the banking families, they deal in gold and silver. All right, they deal in gold and silver. So they have the gold, so they follow the golden rule. The golden rule is he who has the gold rules. You see, so the fact that the food stamps being cut off, that's gradualism, and they're going to use that to precipitate ultimately the digital ID and then the digital mark, which is that chip, ultimately. And why they're going to do it, you may ask? For total control. That's why.
Mm-hmm. And when you told me,
no, you got it.
Now, when you told me that story, that was crazy too, because I did that lesson about how Mexico, they have the digital ID. They just made it mandatory.
Yep, that's the new one.
You know what I mean? Now, but the thing is, when you go into the article, some years back, they made it. What's the word? Where you can optional.
Optional.
They put it in. The bill passed.
Yeah, it's optional for now until it becomes mandatory. Again, that is a form of gradualism. Gradualism. That's a key word. You brothers and you sisters must know concerning the wicked elite. Their method to their madness, they use gradualism. Gradualism was used to bring about the Federal Reserve. which is where the total nation's money fell into private hands through the Federal Reserve. Okay? But it was brought on to people gradually. Gradualism. The same thing is happening now with this. You know, that for them to shut down the food stamps in November, that's part of gradualism. Gradually, you're getting the people used to relying totally upon the government, and whatever edict the government comes up with, the people have no choice but to accept it. He causeth all, both small and great, which, you know, Revelation 13 and 16, he's going to cause it through what? Gradualism. Okay? He causeth all, both small and great. Pretty much that's everybody, especially here in Babylon the Great, which is the main part of where this prophecy is going to take place. Babylon the Great, America. It says, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. And he can cause them through auto-ab-chaos. You bring in enough chaos that will scare the people into accepting the order. That will cause them to get this mark, to receive this mark against their better judgment, because they are sycophants, or slaves rather, of the government. Okay? And bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. The point is, he causeth all, both small and great, through gradualism, auto-ab-chaos, problem, reaction, solution, you know, which is pretty much the same thing. All right, creating the problems, creating the chaos, and then you come with the solution. But you were the one that created the chaos. So it's the oldest trick in the book.
The bill passed, but it was optional.
Right. You could if you wanted to.
If you wanted to do it, right. It wasn't mandatory. So they let the bill pass through years back.
So imagine if they cut off all the food stamps in November. Eventually, they'll force the people, if they want to get fed. They're totally relying on the government. You know, these people don't have a mind of their own. Eventually, they'll whatever the government says. Look, you're going to have to take this if you want to get your food stamp program. If you want to get your assistance, you're going to have to take this. You're going to have this. You're going to have to take this. Ultimately, it's the chip. So that's the scripture. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark. That's how he's going to do it. Who's the he? The top banking families, and through their government. The government goons that they give orders to. All right? So let's hear some more.
Right. But now, since the bill's passed, they amended it and it passed. Boom. So just what you were just saying, like, yeah, now just get it in there first.
That's it.
And that's exactly what the technique they used to thrust the Federal Reserve, which is unlawful, even according to the Constitution. The United States Constitution, the Federal Reserve is unlawful. That's the technique they used to thrust it upon the people. And it worked like a charm. So this is pretty much the same technique they're using to try to thrust ultimately the wearing of that RFID chip within your right hand, left hand, or your forehead, for identification, for total control, to conduct business, to have food to eat, to essentially live a so-called life. But what kind of life is that when you have a device inside of you that causes cancer, emitting radiation, which is not good for you?
So let's just get it in there, and then we can start amending. We can start changing things,
right?
And that's how they're going to do you, American people. They're like, oh no, it's already here. We already passed this part of the bill, and then we just amended and added things to it because of the things that are actually happening.
There you go. There you go. But finish that up.
Done. It says, and he.
Yeah. So I'll end it there. Hopefully you found this edifying. So keep your eyes open concerning the food stamp thing, the debacle, and see when it's done away with, and when they return, when they bring it back, it's going to be brought back with more control, more rigid control by the government in order for you to get your benefits. This is what it's all about. Ultimately, if you want to get any kind of benefits from the government, ultimately you're going to have to take that little glass chip in your right hand or your left hand or your butt cheek or your forehead, so you can be totally controlled. That's what it's all about. So hopefully you found this edifying. See you in the next.